Welcome to Musical Medicine. This is our second edition. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd like to open the show by saying October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Our very special guest tonight is Barbara Musser, author of Sexy After Cancer, Meeting Your Inner Aphrodite on the Breast Cancer Journey. Welcome, Barbara. We are delighted to have you.
I'm happy to be here too, Soleil. Thanks.
Each week on Musical Medicine, I'll perform an original song. Tonight's song is called She's Beautiful. I co-wrote this song with my friends Eva Mautner and Austin Willacy. This song is in honor and support of women on their healing journey. From my heart to yours, this is She's Beautiful.
She is facing a mountain she must climb. She is opening her heart to the sky. In her soul, she knows where she's going. On a path with no light, great speed. Be the guide, walk beside her through the night. Hold her in the light. She's beautiful. She's a survivor. She's beautiful. She found the strength inside her. Here to remind her she's beautiful, flower in full bloom. She is taking her life into her own hands, in her garden, planting new seeds. Trespassers better tread lightly. She found the power to tend to her needs. Sweet mother, hold her close, give her courage. In the night, she has found her own light. She's beautiful. She's a survivor. She's beautiful. She found the strength inside of her. Here to remind her she's beautiful. Flower in full bloom. I see her dancing tonight by the light of the moon. She is waving her hands in the air. I hear her screaming upwards to a rock song. She closes her eyes in a prayer. Great Spirit, be her guide, walk beside her through the night. Hold her in the light. She's beautiful. She's a survivor. She's beautiful. Flower in full bloom. Isn't she beautiful?
you enjoyed the song, Barbara. This is a real honor for me to be able to bring a message and sing a song to women on their healing journey. So I'm really honored that I can sing to you.
Oh, the song is beautiful. I've heard it several times now, and each time it evokes something different in me. It's gorgeous.
Thank you so much. I'd like to give a full bio of Barbara Musser. Barbara Musser had breast cancer in 1989 as a young single woman. She married and had a child after treatment. As a sex educator and workshop facilitator for 20 plus years, she has supported many women and their partners and families along the journey, interviewed hundreds of women about their experiences and needs, worked with support groups on the subject of sexuality and intimacy, presented to tumor boards and interviewed many surgeons, plastic surgeons, and oncologists about the subject. Barbara is a frequent speaker on sexuality and intimacy. She is a member of the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists, and the International Society for the Study of Women's Sexual Health. Barbara, this is an extraordinary book filled with information, very compassionately written. Sexy After Cancer, Meeting Your Inner Aphrodite on the Breast Cancer Journey. Tell me, what motivated you? Why did you write this book?
Well, there were a lot of reasons. Part of it came from my own experience so many years ago. I was young and single, and there weren't good resources around for healing what was a lot of wounding and damage to my sense of being desirable and attractive and sexy. And over the years, I've supported many, many women through this journey. And what really sparked and had this all come together is a very dear friend of mine got a second breast cancer diagnosis. And I went with her to all of her medical appointments, and it was more complicated with a second diagnosis. Spent a lot of time with her, asked questions at all of the medical appointments, took notes, helped her decipher all the information so she could make the decisions that felt right to her. And we also did a lot of personal time together. We meditated and did all sorts of things. And she was single too. And so we talked about what it would be like with dating, because she was going to have a mastectomy. And as I was driving her to the hospital for her surgery, I was sitting next to her in the front seat of her car, and she turned over and tapped me on the shoulder, and she said, "I think this is your work." And all of a sudden, all the pieces of what I'd been doing for most of my life came together. And I felt like I had heard my calling, which is, you know, we all want to know what we're here to do. So that's how it came about, and very grateful for that friend who's doing beautifully.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear it. And what did you learn while writing this book?
I learned a lot because I had to organize. There was so much information that was coming to me, and so many experiences that I'd had from talking with so many women and their partners and their families and the doctors. And I learned that this whole area of intimacy and sexuality is one that's not talked about. And it's a huge issue. There's, the statistics say that 90% of women experience sexual difficulties as a result of their breast cancer treatments. And their doctors don't talk about it, and they don't necessarily know to ask because they don't know it's coming on top of everything else. So there's this big need, and it's like the elephant in the room. And I like to talk about sex, so I got to open those doors for people and make it more natural and normal. But what I learned is that it's really vital for women to feel beautiful and to know ways to know that they're attractive and that they're desirable, no matter what their breasts look like, if they even have their breasts still. So I feel like I got a huge gift by being able to explore that, and I continue to explore it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing this book and this information with us.
My pleasure.
The book unfolds, and you go chapter to chapter, step by step, and you received your diagnosis and the devastation, and as you referred to, when you start gathering your team. So what can you share with us for the important first steps a woman can do for self-care?
Well, I think for self-care, it's really important to do things to take care of yourself. whatever, and that's different for each woman. So it might be having a weekly pedicure, for example, or it might be taking beautiful walks in nature. I mean, we live in such a beautiful place. It might be spending time with your kids if you have kids. It might be going out and seeing funny movies. Whatever it is that lifts your spirits as you're contemplating these decisions, because when you get a diagnosis of breast cancer, it's like being parachuted into a foreign land where you don't speak the language, and you have to learn really quickly and make decisions, because there's a lot of pressure from the healthcare professionals to make decisions really fast about your treatment. So self-care during that is important. It's also important to know that you're in charge, that you can make the decisions and take the time that you need to make the decisions that are right for you. And I think it's really important to assemble what I call a healing team, which is people and resources that are all a part of healing you as a whole person. Because the medical treatments are really treating the cancer, the disease.
Yes,
and a lot of medical professionals treat you like you're the host that's brought this disease to them. And they forget that you're a woman with feelings and fears and emotions and so on. And so you can have a team that will, all the members in that team can cover the different aspects of it. So, for example, my first healing team, there was a surgeon there, and there was an oncologist, and there was a psychotherapist I was working with, and a nutrition person, and a yoga teacher, and people that fed me spiritually. And then as time passed, it changed. There were less medical people on it and more people related to other areas that were important to me to feel whole and integrated and thriving.
Thank you. That's really helpful. I want to read a quote from your chapter, The Fear Factor. Barbara says, "Here's the bottom line. No one lives in your body but you. No one loves you like you do. Know that you can make whatever choices are best for you, and that ultimately only you know what they are." Barbara, how can we stay present in our bodies and cultivate trusting our own, accessing our own wisdom and trusting ourselves?
That's a great question. And I think it's one of the opportunities that comes with a situation like this. When you experience a trauma in your life, particularly a health trauma, it's a time when all of a sudden you can see what's really important in your life and what's not so important, and who's important in your life and who's not so important. And it's a time when one of the things that I tell a lot of people and remember myself frequently is to breathe. Because when we're stressed, we forget to breathe, right? And when we forget to breathe, that just makes us feel more stressed. So breathing is a very basic part of it. And the other thing is to remember that physicians and healthcare professionals are trained to keep you alive. That's their training, that's their job. And oftentimes they don't necessarily consider the impact that's going to have on the quality of your life. So that's your job, to collect all this information and then make the decisions that feel right to you, because the decisions that you make about treatment are going to have long-range consequences, some of which you don't even know about necessarily right now. So it's important to remember that you're the captain of the team and everybody works for you. So for women, that can be a really empowering thing, because most of us aren't trained to believe that or to operate like that. We go along and we're good girls and we do what we're told to do, right?
Yes.
But when it comes to my body and you're going to remove a part of it or you're going to alter a part of it, no, I need to be in charge of that, because I'm the one that's going to continue to look at myself in the mirror every day.
So what was that leg of the journey like for you?
Making the decisions?
Yeah.
I was lucky. My cancer was diagnosed really early on, and so I was really determined that I did not want to lose a breast, because my breasts were a source of great pleasure for me. And I chose to have a lumpectomy, and then I had another surgery because they needed to take out a little more tissue. and radiation. But during that time, after that lumpectomy, and I was waiting for the pathology reports, and then those pathology reports came in, and I was getting second opinions as to what to do. And back then, this was almost 25 years ago now, there weren't the standard protocols of treatment that there are now. So I had, I don't even remember how many, but many second opinions, and I heard everything from, you don't have to do anything else, to remove both of your breasts and your ovaries and everything in between. So I had to get enough information so that I could make decisions that I felt were right for me, so that I was doing enough treatment so that I felt like I was really taking care of my body and my health, but not so much that I felt like I was going to be devastated from the treatments.
Yeah, it sounds like you really followed your own wisdom and you knew what was right for you and got the information.
And I had to dig inside for resources that I didn't really know were there, that I hoped were there, and they were.
So one of your chapters jumped out at me, is on forgiveness. Can you talk to us about the importance of forgiveness? Maybe take us through an exercise of forgiveness.
Sure. I have a friend who said long ago, I don't think he originated the phrase, but that forgiveness is letting go of all hope for a better yesterday, right? I mean, we hold on to things, and we hold on to resentments and anger and hurts, and the person that really suffers with that is the one, us, that's holding on to that. So forgiveness is a way to release that and move on. And it doesn't mean that you forget what happened, but it means that you free yourself from whatever trap you're in, from being stuck in the bitterness or the resentment or the anger or the hurt, whatever it is. So there's lots and lots of different forgiveness practices. My experience is that forgiveness is a process. It's not a one-time event. And the key to forgiveness is to pick a practice that appeals to you and then to use it, because they all work. But you have to use them to work. So there's one that I particularly like that comes from the Ho'oponopono Hawaiian tradition. And it's 4 simple sentences that you repeat. And the way they do it in their tradition is they play this beautiful music and they sing it like a chant. But the phrases are, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
I love you.
I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you can use that for any situation. And with breast cancer, there are different aspects to forgiveness. So first of all, you might want to forgive your body for getting cancer. You might want to forgive your physicians for changing your body, or for giving you medications that have changed your body or made you sick. You might forgive, depending on what your spiritual beliefs are, you might need to forgive God for giving you this challenge in your life. So there's lots of different layers to it. And ultimately forgiving yourself for being human, because we are all human. And cancer is a time when we come face to face with our mortality.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Barbara, someone on our crew wanted to know, how does a woman maintain intimacy during treatment?
That's a really good question. Because one of the things that happens is when a woman is having treatment, especially chemotherapy, some of the side effects for chemotherapy can cause separation. So for example, if your hair's falling out, you're going to feel less than attractive, right? Or if you're nauseous from the chemotherapy and you're feeling nauseous, your partner might not want to touch you. So intimacy, by intimacy, I don't mean sex. I mean intimacy in terms of this kind of connection and a soul-to-soul connection. I mean, one way to think of intimacy is as if that word meant, into me, you see. So for your partner, ask your partner to hold your hand, or stroke your arm, or stroke your cheek, or give little baby kisses all over your face. Because what happens so often is if somebody's feeling bad and their partner thinks they feel bad, they just stop touching each other. And then it's harder to reconnect. So to maintain some very basic forms of touch and loving touch is a really great way to maintain intimacy. Even just gazing into each other's eyes and breathing
like
together.
Right now.
Yeah. Those are great ways to maintain intimacy.
Thank you. All right. I have another quote I want to read from your book. You talk about this being can be a really empowering time for women on their journey. And I quote, "The management of your emotional, psychological, and spiritual health is up to you." And every time I read a quote, of course, I'm talking to myself, right. So that I can remember that, this is my job to take care of myself in all ways. You talk about acceptance and appreciation is another chapter in your book. Can you speak on that?
Yeah. I can. I think that accepting what's happening is an important part of it, and it goes hand in hand with forgiveness. And one of the places where I see a lot of women get stuck is they think that after they're finished with the treatment that their life is going to go back to how it was before. But it doesn't, because we are altered in ways that are irreversible to us, and not just physically, but our spirit is altered, our heart is altered, our emotions are altered, our thoughts are altered. That's why I say that you're responsible for all those aspects of your health and your well-being. And so rather than fight what's happening or resist it or deny it, acceptance is a big part of that. So making peace with how your body is now, changed by cancer and its treatments and the experiences, that's an important part of it. And then once you accept it, then you can begin to appreciate it and appreciate yourself. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to have said that the changes that came about in their lives as a result of their cancer journey and decisions that they made and experiences that they had have enriched their lives in many, many ways. And certainly cancer is, a lot of people talk about cancer as a gift. It's not a gift that anyone wants to get.
No.
But it can open doors to your awareness and to your consciousness and to your healing that is remarkable for a lot of women. And that's where the empowerment comes.
Yes, right. I know it's, I hear that I know that for myself, a difficult leg of the journey I access my own empowerment and my own wisdom and acceptance, appreciation. So, yeah, we grow in these really difficult legs of the journey.
Yeah, all the spiritual traditions talk about that any kind of crisis is an opportunity for us to learn how to love more deeply. And that starts with loving ourselves. And that's what the possibility is in all of this. So then it becomes a question of, well, how do I live my best life? However much life I have ahead of me, how do I live my best life? How do I love best?
Yeah.
How do I love my life, and how do I live a life of loving?
How do I live my best life? I like that a lot. Is there anything that you would like to share just in closing remarks in this segment? We're going to come back again with Barbara. Anything special for our viewers?
I want to share that there are different phases of the cancer journey. So the first one is discovering that you have cancer and making all these decisions that we were talking about. And then the next phase is the treatment that actually happens. And then the next phase is life after that. So once treatment ends or your treatment is managed, how do you integrate and become whole? And I feel like the cheerleader for women to know that you can integrate, you can become whole, that life can be better than it was, different but better than it was before. It's not only possible, but it's probable if you're willing to take that journey and take yourself on.
Thank you. That's a great message. And I want to thank you on behalf of women navigating their healing journey. And I want to thank you on behalf of the men who love and support them for writing this book and sharing your knowledge and lighting the way for all of us on different legs of our journey. So thank you so much. And I'm going to welcome you back next week so that we can chat a little bit more.
Great.
And I'd like to give a shout out to my crew and express my appreciation. Good night.
Great Spirit, her guide, walk beside her through the night, hold her in the light. She's beautiful.
It's a wrap, yeah.